Hello everybody, today we are learning to make an easy vegetable pulao or tahiri as it is called in India. It's a good food to put together when you're in a rush because you can use some of the staples you have in the house. My mom always did that on a busy day. We would eat this coming out warm from her kitchen and enjoy it every time. So I want to share that with you. You can make it using some of the staples in your house. I have some rice soaking over here. I'm using vegetables, carrots and frozen peas today, some onions, and we have a spice blend which is called garam masala. This is very easily available in regular grocery stores as well. Just go to the spice aisle and pick it up over there. You can also make your own if you want to, but it does require a whole lot of spices. I'm also using a few whole spices. If you don't have them, don't worry about it. This is a bay leaf. This is a stick of cinnamon, and we have a couple of whole big cardamoms here and a few peppercorns. If you don't have any of these, it's okay. You can skip this part of the recipe. There's salt over here, and of course there's oil. I'm going to open the bag of peas and measure out peas. Now I told you that we have about 2 cups of rice soaking here. I'm using basmati rice with 4 cups of water. It's actually a little less than 4 cups of water because I'll be using vegetables today, and vegetables also give out their own water, right? They have moisture in them. Now I'm going to measure out about a cup of peas, and the amounts are flexible, so you can always change the amount of vegetables that you want to use, as well as you can change the type of vegetables that you want to use. So I'm using carrots and peas today, but you could totally go ahead and add some potatoes to it. You can add some green beans to it. Broccoli, cauliflower is a good addition. Now you want the pieces to be slightly small, so now this part of the carrot is somewhat thick, so I'm just going to go in the middle, go like that, and cut it into 2 parts just so that I have even size pieces. Go like that. Go in like that, make a tunnel, put the knife through. I hope you're able to see this well. I'll move this to the side. Make it lie down flat. Anything that's round, you want to make it lie down flat, and then go in. Remember to use your claw grip. Hold the food in a claw and run the knife through it. Keep moving your claw back. So here's some more carrots to use. I want to slice the onion. You want the onion in slices. So start by cutting this end of the onion first. Okay. I have a trash can set up right here. You don't want to cut all of this end, the root end. You want to save some of it, but I'll go in and get a little bit off like that. Keep it flat now and make a tunnel. Go in the middle like that, and remove the first outer layer of the onion. You want to remove the dry skin of the onion. Like that. Keep the flat side down and go ahead and slice it. So you'll see why we keep the root end intact a little bit. Just hold it like this and go in and slice the onions. So if you cut away the root end, what happens is the onion opens up and then it's difficult to get the slices. Now I can always go back and cut the root end off, and once I throw that away, you'll see that we have the slices of the onion. You can slice them thin or thick. You're going to put them in the oil and they're going to caramelize and make the dish very flavorful. So here's our onion. I'll do the second one too. Okay, there it is. To make the vegetable pulao, you want to first start using a shallow pan and cover that with some oil or butter or ghee, which is clarified butter. and I'm using oil today. So you need about a tablespoon of oil, but you don't always have to measure it. If you just count to 3 and go slow, like 1, 2, 3, that's about a tablespoon. This is one of those recipes you don't really need to measure everything. The oil should be just enough to coat the bottom of the pan. You start out by adding the whole spices. So my pan has been preheating, and I'm going to start out by adding bay leaf. If you have some whole peppercorn, add that. And do remember that these spices are not meant to be eaten plain. They just are supposed to infuse the oil with some flavor. I'm adding cinnamon, and I'm going to add this black cardamom. And we're going to take it all out when we are ready to serve the food. So I'll just swirl it around a little, let the spices infuse the oil, and then you can already smell the oil has become fragrant. Add the onions first. Now it's a good idea to add a pinch or two of salt when you're cooking the onions, because that will make the onions cook faster. The onions give off their moisture and start caramelizing. Caramelizing the onions really gives the food a sweet flavor. So onions have natural sugars in them, and the sugars will start caramelizing when you cook the onions down. So we'll have to wait a few minutes for the onions to caramelize. Often after you make this recipe a few times, you'll figure out that you really don't need to do a lot of prep work in advance. You can just preheat the pan and cut the onions first while the pan's preheating. Add the oil, add the onions and spices, then go ahead and chop some of your vegetables, and you can totally do the whole recipe while the pan is on the stove. It just takes some practice to do that, but it's so much more efficient. So look for doing your work more efficiently, saving some time as you become a more experienced cook. So I'm working on medium heat. This will take about 3 or 4 minutes. So you can see the edges of the onion are starting to shrivel up a little. They're starting to look somewhat brown, and I'll wait a couple more minutes before I add the vegetables. You don't need to stir it the whole time. You do need to let the food sit on the hot surface for the onions to caramelize. So don't stir it the whole time. Just give it a few stirs every once in a while. So as I look at the onions now, I can see that they're starting to turn a little brown. A golden brown color is ideally what you want. If you work on low heat and have some patience, you will get that beautiful golden color. If not, that's okay. The onions will still be sweet, they'll be caramelized nicely, and they'll taste yummy. At this point, I'd like to add the vegetables. Like I said earlier, you can add the vegetables of your choice. We are adding some, here are our green peas. They're going to go in too. I will saute them around just a little, just so that they can cook down. The oil will coat them a little bit, and they'll start sweetening. So I'll stir the peas and carrots around just so that they can start to cook down and the oil can coat them a little bit. Once again, you don't need to stir it all the time. Just make sure that you move it every couple of minutes or so. And the total time that you need to saute the vegetables is only about 3 or 4 minutes again. And if you really are pressed for time, go ahead and just add your rice right away. But just sauteing is a good idea if you can do it. Now I'm going to add the spices. This is our spice blend called garam masala. I'm going to add a teaspoon of this. And I'll add 2 teaspoons of salt. So remember, I have 2 cups of rice. So approximately 2 teaspoons of salt, and you can always adjust the amounts according to your liking. Stir this around. And here's our rice. This is 2 cups of rice that is soaking in 4 cups of water. It has been soaking for about half an hour. Once again, if you don't have time to soak the rice in advance, it's okay. The cooking time will be just a little bit longer. So I'm adding the rice that has been soaking in water. And now all I have to do is give it a gentle stir and let it cook. So I'll just stir it around a little. I'll let it come to a boil first. As soon as I see it come to a boil, I can reduce the heat. So just because I've added a lot of water in it right now, I've increased the heat. It is at a high temperature right now. I'll just wait to see some bubbles over it, and as soon as I see the bubbles, I'll put a lid on it and reduce the heat to a medium heat. After that, all I have to do is, in a few minutes, I have to come back and take a look at it and maybe give it a gentle stir. You don't want to stir it too hard because you're going to break the pieces of rice there. You want the rice to be nice, separate and long. So you don't stir it around too much once you've added rice to it, but maybe once during cooking you want to come in and give it a stir. So I'm waiting for the bubbles to rise up a little just to see that the cooking process is on, and all I have to do is put a cover on it and move away from it for about maybe 10-12 minutes is all it's going to take. Just I have to come back and check it in 5-7 minutes or so. So it is. I can see that the sides on the edges are starting to bubble. So I'll bring the heat down now. Otherwise, the rice and the water from it is going to start overflowing. So I'll turn the heat down to medium and I'll just put a cover on it, and I'll come back and take a look at it in about 10 minutes or so. So our rice has been cooking on medium heat for now. I just want to give it a quick stir. Look at how it looks now. And I do see some moisture at the bottom, so it's going to take about 2 or 3 more minutes probably. I'm just giving it a very gentle stir. Not a lot of stirring there because you don't want to break the rice. Okay? I'll put the cover back on and come back and take a look at it in about 3 or 4 minutes. So here it is. Our vegetable pulao seems to be ready. The water has absorbed into the rice. I can see that each grain of rice is separate. The vegetables are giving it a beautiful color. We do need to take out the whole spices from it before you serve it, because you don't want your friends or even you to bite into a bay leaf or a big cardamom. That won't be too fun. I'll move it over here and serve it. Steaming hot rice full of vegetables. Let it cool down a little before you eat it, and make sure you definitely fish out the whole spices that you've added to this. So here it is. I have to try it to check if the salt and the seasoning is okay. If you get any whole spices in your bowl, take them out. And sometimes we also garnish it with some fried onions, either store-bought or homemade. I just want to take a spoon of it to try it so I can tell you how it tastes. So here it is. I really like the seasonings in this, and remember, we have used a bunch of spices, but we are using them to add flavor, not really to add heat to the dish. So don't be afraid of the spices. Go ahead and try the dish. Enjoy! To make the vegetable pulao, start first by rinsing some rice. So I have basmati rice here, which is a very widely used rice variety and a very popular one all over the world. You can see that the grains are long and slender and they cook separately when you cook them, and that's what we really like about our rice. So I often use basmati rice, and especially when you're doing a pulao recipe. So I got 2 cups of rice here, and I'll show you how to rinse it. And why you need to do that is because you can get rid of the extra starches in the rice, and that helps the rice to cook softer and more fluffy, and the grains stay separate. So I'm just going to go like this and run my hand through it. And I think it also helps in getting rid of some of the pesticides and preservatives that they must be adding to the rice to keep the pests from attacking it. So you just overfill the bowl a little bit, run your hand through it, and then just use your hand as a strainer and get most of the water out. You don't have to get all of it out because some of the rice may come out if you try to do that. But here it is. Once I do it like this, I don't lose any of the grains of rice, but I rinsed it. And I'll do this a couple more times just to make sure that the rice is all nice and clean. Now, once I've done it a couple more times, I'll then soak the rice in 4 cups of water. So this is 2 cups of rice, and I'm doing it one more time like this. And now using the same measuring cup, I'll just soak it in 4 cups of water. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Just put it aside and use it after about half an hour. In case you're curious to know what one single spice called garam masala is made of, you'd be surprised to know that every family has a different recipe of garam masala. But the one that I make uses these spices. I'd like to show those to you. Here they are. This is, of course, your familiar black peppercorn, right? These are whole cloves. This is cumin seeds. This is called whole black cardamom. This is the big cardamom. These are bay leaves. Cinnamon sticks over here. I also have 1 whole nutmeg, as well as this is actually called mace, and this is the outer flower of the nutmeg. This is star anise, such a beautiful spice. These are small cardamoms. These are coriander seeds. These are anise seeds or fennel seeds. And this is a cinnamon stick. So all of these, when you just toast them lightly and put them in a dry grinder, you'll get a blend which is called garam masala. Of course, like I said earlier, you can switch out some of the spices if you don't have all of them. You can use a few of the key ingredients like cumin, coriander powder, black cardamom and bay leaves, and cinnamon, and make a basic blend as well. You can find many recipes of this online as well. Do your research if you want to make your own blend of garam masala.